livelihood corridor, ensuring inclusive development, job creation, and poverty alleviation.
On this occasion, the ambassador of China to Pakistan, Jiang Zedong, said Pakistan's economy has experienced rapid growth and recovery over the past few months. He highlighted the commencement of commercial flights in Gwadar as an inspiring milestone, reflecting the strong commitment to completing CPEC projects. The ambassador further emphasized that China and Pakistan are closely collaborating on all CPEC initiatives. During the event, Chinese officials working on various projects in Pakistan were honored with shields in recognition of their services. The event also featured cultural performances showcasing the deep cultural bond between Pakistan and China. The friendship between Pakistan and China is deeply rooted in the hearts of the people of both countries, and the CPEC is a living their strong bond. Rahul Bisharat, PTV World, Islamabad.
Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb has said achieving sustainable development is Pakistan's top priority. He said this while speaking during a high-level discussion on the topic of a growing burden of global debt on developing economies at the World Economic Forum in Davos. The Finance Minister said the government is working to reduce its expenditures and debt servicing. He mentioned that the debt ratio has decreased from 78% to 67%. The Finance Minister aims to tackle rising population, poverty and environmental issues and move towards sustainable economic development through the 10-year partnership program with the World Bank. He emphasized that in the second phase of CPEC, the focus will shift to promoting business-to-business engagement. He said Chinese companies will be encouraged to relocate their production units to Pakistan under CPEC Phase 2. He said Chinese companies could potentially make Pakistan the hub for their exports.
Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb has held a number of meetings with the leaders of various countries and representatives of organizations in Davos, Switzerland, where he is attending the World Economic Forum. Mohammad Aurangzeb held a meeting with Chief Advisor of Bangladesh, Mohammad Yunus. The formal meeting took place on the sidelines of the opening banquet of the World Economic Forum's annual meeting 2023. Also, the Finance Minister met Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. Both leaders deliberated upon bilateral relations and economic cooperation. Meanwhile, Mohammad Aurangzeb also met Yuvraj Narayan and Rizwan Somro of the DP World. They discussed ways to improve infrastructure and logistics frameworks for promotion of trade in Pakistan. The Finance Minister said that the Pakistani government values partnership in B2B and B2G cooperation and is determined to advance the joint projects.
Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb held a fruitful discussion in Davos with President Gender Equality at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Ms. Anita Zaidi. They discussed collaborative efforts undertaken in improving nutrition, health and polio eradication. The minister apprised the foundation of the government's commitment to advancing these vital health initiatives and its partnership with the foundation.
Minister of Mohammad Aurangzeb held separate meetings with Mohammed bin Abdullah Al Jaddan, Minister of Finance of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and Ali Ahmed Al Kuwari, Minister of Finance of Qatar, on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos. During the meetings, the finance of Pakistan's recent economic progress and improved international financial ratings. The Finance Minister of Pakistan also highlighted key reform measures undertaken by the government. Views were exchanged on regional economic development as well as bilateral investment and financial cooperation.
Pakistan's first ever Chief Minister's Minority Card program was formally launched in Lahore. Addressing the launching ceremony, Chief Minister of Punjab, Maryam Nawaz Sharif, said under this program, 50,000 deserving minority families will get financial assistance worth 10,500 rupees after every 3 months. She said the number of deserving families will be increased to 75,000, while the amount of financial assistance will also be enhanced in future. The Chief Minister said Punjab government received 100,000 applications for this program. She said the budget for the Minorities Affairs Department has been raised by 2-fold.
Information Minister Atala Tarar has said property tycoon Malik Riaz has been declared a proclaimed offender and now is taking steps for his extradition to Pakistan. Speaking on the mega corruption case in Islamabad, Atala Tarar said that NAB had clarified that Malik Riaz's investment in Dubai fell in the category of money laundering. He said there were many cases of corruption and land grabbing against Malik Riaz and his son. The minister went on to say that there is no example of corruption greater than this, saying that Parliament's money was misused. He said the decision on the £190 million case headlined by the global media as corruption. He further said that there is solid evidence of corruption of £190 million.
Pakistan stands ready to share its counter-terrorism expertise with African partners and assist in establishing institutional structures and capacity building for sustainable peace. This was stated by Pakistan's permanent representative to the United Nations, Munir Akram, while speaking at the United Nations Security Council high-level open debate on counter-terrorism in Africa. Ambassador Munir Akram said a global terrorism landscape has evolved dramatically, with the terrorism epicenter having shifted from the Middle East to the central Sahel region of sub-Saharan Africa. He said terrorist groups are operating with increasing impunity in ungoverned spaces, ending in the Sahel, the Horn of Africa, Cabo Delgado, and with Burkina Faso and Mali among the three most affected countries. He said Daesh is decimated in Syria and Iraq, but its franchises have emerged in Afghanistan and the Sahel. Ambassador Munir Akram emphasized Pakistan's long-standing commitment to countering terrorism and said Pakistan has been at the forefront of the fight against global terrorism for the past 4 decades. He urged a review of UN sanction regimes to ensure they address African nations' challenges without hindering development.
Security forces have achieved a significant success on January 8 by intercepting a weapons-laden truck at the Pakistan-Afghanistan border. Modern foreign weapons, magazines and ammunition intended for terrorist activities in Pakistan were recovered. The seized cache included 744 rounds of light machine gun ammunition and a large number of launchers, further highlighting the nature of the planned operations. Defense experts have linked this incident to ongoing collaboration between the terrorist elements and Afghan facilitators. They claim that checkpoints in Afghanistan are reportedly aiding such activities, underlining a security threat to the region. There is not the first instance of foreign weapons being seized, raising concerns about the presence of militants in Afghanistan across border operations.
The United Nations has warned that Israel's ongoing attacks on the occupied West Bank have left Jenin refugee camp nearly uninhabitable, with at least 10 people killed and water and electricity cut off from the main hospital there. Israel's military operation in the occupied West Bank is entering its 3rd day, with at least 10 Palestinians killed and another 40, including children, wounded. Deputy spokesman Farhan Haq cited the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, when he warned that the operation by Israel in the scene is putting people's safety and welfare at risk while destroying infrastructure as basic as roads, electricity and water pipes. Officials in the city in the occupied West Bank had said around 2,000 Palestinian families have been displaced from the Jenin refugee camp amid an Israeli military invasion now in its 2nd day. He said the families have dispersed to nearby villages under harsh conditions, lacking the basic necessities.
Trucks waving Egyptian flags and carrying heavy machinery were seen moving at the Rafah border crossing in Egypt, heading towards Gaza on the 3rd day of the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. According to assessments from the United Nations, billions of dollars will be needed to rebuild Gaza after the Israeli massive attacks left almost the entire Gaza ruined. And now the ceasefire took effect on January 19 to bring an end to the bloodshed and devastation by the Israeli forces. Nearly 900 humanitarian aid trucks entered the Gaza Strip. UN officials said so far there had been no apparent law and order issues. The latest arrivals bring the 3-day total to more than 2,400 trucks entering the enclave. Throughout the 15-month war, the UN has described operation as opportunistic, facing problems with Israel's military operation, access restrictions by Israel into and throughout Gaza.
United States President Donald Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff has announced he will visit Gaza in the coming days as part of what he called an inspection team to monitor the ceasefire agreement reached between Israel and Hamas last week. During an interview, Witkoff said he would tour 2 Israeli-held zones in Gaza as part of an upcoming trip to Israel. The Net Zarim corridor separates North and South Gaza and has been occupied by Israeli forces since they invaded the Palestinian enclave in late October 2023. The Philadelphia corridor runs between southern Gaza and Egypt. Israel's military took operational control of the area in May of last year. The trip will be the envoy's first visit to the Middle East since Israel and Hamas agreed to a ceasefire deal on January 15th. Witkoff, a businessman with no previous diplomatic experience and previously in the talks in Qatar that led to the deal.
Posters have been pasted across Srinagar and other areas of the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, urging people to observe India's Republic Day as Black Day. The posters displayed by the All Parties Hurriyat Conference organizations bear messages such as 26 January, Indian Republic Day is a Black Day for Kashmiris. UN must fulfill its plebiscite promise with the Kashmiris, and India is trying to hoodwink international organization Kashmir. The poster paid tribute to the martyrs of the massacres carried out by Indian forces in Sopore, Gaukadal, Srinagar, Handwara and Kupwara district. Now, the APHC expressed concern over the prevailing situation in IIOJK ahead of the India's Republic Day. The increased lockdown measures and additional deployment of the Indian forces have created an atmosphere of fear, leaving the people feeling insecure about their lives, honor and dignity.
The National Assembly was informed at the House that the government is focusing on skill development of the youth to cater to the skilled laborers abroad and signed agreements with different countries for this purpose. More in this report by our correspondent Musharraf Zahoor.
Minister for Overseas Pakistanis Chaudhry Saleh Hussain told the lawmakers during question hour that the government is pursuing a proactive approach to sign agreements with the countries in the European Union for export of skilled manpower. The minister stated that about 1.3 million people went abroad for employment over the last 3 years. Parliamentary Secretary Dr. Darshan told the House that the sewage treatment plant has been proposed in the federal capital to collect and treat wastewater before it enters Rawal Lake. He said the unplanned development along the banks of Korang River is contributing to the pollution of Rawal Dam, adding that the wetlands have been constructed to reduce contamination. Responding to another question, Parliamentary Secretary Nelson Azim said no new polio case has been reported in the country in the current month due to effective anti-polio campaigns run by the government. He said the government has also initiated awareness campaign to motivate the people to vaccinate their children. The House passed the Biological and Toxin Weapons Convention Implementation Bill 2024. Besides the Code of Criminal Procedures Amendment Bill 2025, the Prevention of Electronic Crimes Amendment Bill 2025 and the Digital Nation Amendment Bill 2024 were introduced in the House. The chair referred the bills to the standing committees concerned. Later, the House was adjourned to meet again on Thursday at 2 p.m. Reporting for PTV World, Musharraf Zahoor.
Council held its 12th meeting to review progress on the ongoing projects and policy measures across various sectors. The meeting, chaired by Planning Minister Asad Iqbal, included the federal ministers, the SIFC National Coordinator, federal provincial chief secretaries and senior government officials. During the meeting, ministries presented updates on projects and policy initiatives under SIFC. Discussions focused on industries, agriculture and livestock, mines and minerals, oil and gas and port development. The committee emphasized the importance of close coordination among the stakeholders to accelerate industrialization and improve the investment climate. Progress was also reviewed on the framework for special economic zones approved during the 11th meeting, chaired by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, with directives issued for expedited implementation.
The Ministry of Climate Change has launched the Challenge Fund for Climate Resilient Infrastructure. The fund would be funded by the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development and jointly implemented by GIZ Pakistan and Adam Smith International. Addressing at the occasion, Rumina Khurshid Alam, a coordinator to the Prime Minister on climate change, said the launch of the Climate Resilient Infrastructure Challenge Fund marks a significant milestone in government's ongoing efforts to strengthen Pakistan's capacity to adapt to climate change. Rumina Khurshid Alam said the fund will support infrastructure projects in the provinces of Punjab, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and the Islamabad Capital Territory. The initiative is designed to foster climate resilience across key sectors by providing funding of up to €200,000 per project. Small and medium enterprises, startups, informal groups, non-governmental organizations and social enterprises encouraged to apply. Applications for the fund are open until February 17, 2025. The fund will focus on 6 key climate resilience areas that align with Pakistan's National Adaptation Plan, including urban resilience, national capital development, human capital development, the agriculture-water nexus, disaster preparedness, and the promotion of gender, youth, and social inclusion.
Additional Attorney General informed the Supreme Court that the government has appointed Justice retired Fakir Mohammad Khokar to the head of the Missing Persons Commissions. Appearing before a Supreme Court bench, Additional Attorney General said that the government is serious on the issue of missing persons and intends to bring special tribunals for missing persons through legislation. He said a cabinet committee is already working on the law making a process in this case. The bench expressed hope that the government moves quickly on this matter, as Justice Jamal Mandokhil said that the court cannot issue directions on legislation process. The bench adjourned the hearing indefinitely.
Comstech Islamabad hosted an event aimed at fostering collaboration among universities in OIC member states. More in this report by our correspondent Asil Dogar.
The annual meeting of the Comstech Consortium of Excellence, convened at Comstech Islamabad, brought together higher education leaders from universities of the OIC countries and observer states including China and Russia. Vice-chancellors, rectors and senior representatives from OIC member states including Palestine, Malaysia, Oman, Jordan, Pakistan, Somalia, Uganda, Indonesia and Iran were also in attendance. The event aimed to enhance inter-university collaborations in critical areas such as science, technology, health and higher education to address the challenges faced by Muslim countries. Professor Dr. Muhammad Iqbal Chaudhry, Coordinator General of Comstech, said the event is an important platform to address the academic challenges faced in Muslim countries.
Universities play extremely important role in socio-economic development, and the core mission of this network is to have socio-economic development of the Muslim world.
University President, Palestine University, expressed gratitude for Pakistan's support.
I'm very thankful for the Comstech and for the Pakistan state for inviting Palestine and universities from Palestine to participate in this meeting. Also, we are thanking for the large number of scholarships which are offered for students from Palestine. We are going to make cooperations between Palestinian institution and Pakistan institution.
Deputy Vice Chancellor, University Technology Mara said the event will allow universities to discuss cooperation projects.
So from this platform, we can collaborate, for example, for student exchange, for postgraduate students, for doing research.
Vice President, International Relations, University of Jordan said it is an important platform to foster collaboration.
It's a big opportunity for all universities to collaborate and to work together to strengthen our universities.
This high-level dialogue marked a significant step towards addressing shared challenges of universities in OIC member states. This event at Comstech allowed universities from across OIC states to discuss coordination and cooperation projects. This is Asil Dogar, PTV World, Islamabad.
Consul General Hussain Mohammed held a meeting with the new board of Pakistan Business Council Dubai at the Consulate General of Pakistan. The Consul General emphasized the need for business leaders to explore opportunities in the Pakistan's diverse sectors including IT, manufacturing, agriculture and tourism. He said that Pakistan offers a mutual for investment and trade with SIFC established as a single window to facilitate the investors. He urged the Pakistan Business Council to act as a bridge for creating new partnerships and expanding existing ones.
The Embassy of Pakistan in The Hague, in collaboration with the Trade Development Authority of Pakistan, organized an engaging webinar themed Pakistan, the Netherlands, exploring trade and investment opportunities in the IT sector, attended by representatives from over 100 IT firms from both Pakistan and the Netherlands. This landmark event highlighted the growing potential for collaboration between the two countries in the rapidly evolving IT sector. The event showcased Pakistan's IT industry capabilities, emphasizing the country's youth-driven workforce, cost-effective talent, and robust IT services ecosystem. The embassy expressed its commitment to facilitating follow-up discussions and ensuring the momentum gained from this event translates into tangible business outcomes.
A historic Sufi performance by Abd Parveen of Islamic Art Doha, Qatar, in a historic cultural event. The legendary Sufi singer Abd Parveen delivered an enchanting live performance at the Museum of Islamic Art. This marked the first time that a Sufi music event of such magnitude was held at the prestigious venue, captivating an exclusive gathering with the depth and beauty of Sufi traditions. Hosted by the Office of Her Highness Sheikh Al-Mayasa bint Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, chairperson of Qatar Museums. The concert was part of the Manzar exhibition showcasing the evolution of Pakistani art and architecture from 1940s to the present. Known as the Queen of Sufi Music, Abda Parveen's performance not only brought the mystical lessons of Sufism to life, but also highlighted the rich cultural heritage of Pakistan. The event was also a showcase for Pakistani fashion, featuring customized heritage by renowned designers Nomi Ansari and Mohsin Naveed Rancha, with artistic direction by Hashim Ali of Coke Studio fame. This fusion of art and fashion underscored the innovative spirit of Pakistani culture. The Embassy of Pakistan in Qatar proudly acknowledges this event as a significant moment for the Pakistani community in Qatar, demonstrating the vibrant cultural exchange between Qatar and Pakistan. Amir, the ambassador, along with other embassy officials, attended the VIP event, which served as a proud testament to the deep cultural bonds and mutual appreciation between the two nations. This landmark event further strengthens the cultural bridge between Qatar and Pakistan, showcasing the profound spiritual and artistic traditions that continue to resonate across the borders.
The United States military has started to send 1,500 active duty troops to the country's southern border with Mexico as part of President Donald Trump's long-promised crackdown on immigration. The White House confirmed the troop movement, though the full details of the order have yet to be released. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters at the White House that President Trump signed an executive order for 1,500 additional troops for the United States southern border. Officials told U.S. media that the service members involved included 500 Marines. They're not expected to do enforcement duties as part of their role at the border. The order included provisions for forces to support the activities of the Secretary of Homeland Security in obtaining complete operational control of the southern border.
Mohammed bin Salman said the kingdom will expand its investment and trade with the U.S. to $600 billion over the 4 years and potentially beyond that. He called U.S. President Donald Trump to congratulate him on his inauguration and discuss key regional issues and investment opportunities. MBS conveyed warm regards on behalf of King Salman, expressing optimism about President Trump's leadership and his potential to foster progress for the American people. The two leaders discussed Middle East security and ways to deepen cooperation on issues like combating terrorism and promoting regional stability. The Crown Prince also reiterated Saudi Arabia's commitment to expanding its economic relations with the U.S., specifically outlining the plans for investments worth $600 billion next 4 years with potential for further growth. MBS also expressed confidence in Trump's economic policies, stressing that they present a historic opportunity for prosperity in both countries. Saudi Arabia, he said, is eager to capitalize on this momentum to bolster joint ventures and strategic investments across various sectors. President Trump also expressed his commitment to strengthening U.S.-Saudi relations, underlining the importance of continuing to advance their shared interests in the region.
At least 11 people died in a rail accident in India's western Maharashtra state when they disembarked from their train fearing a fire, only to be hit by another train passing on the adjacent track. Railway officials told local media that someone had pulled the train's alarm chain, causing it to come to a halt, after which several passengers deboarded onto the adjacent tracks and were mowed down by another passing train. They were hit by a train on an adjacent track. It was not immediately clear whether there had actually been a fire. India has launched a $30 billion program to modernize its railways in recent years, but this has been marred by a series of accidents, including a major crash in 2023 in the state of Odisha, which left nearly 300 people dead. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis said in a post on X that he was deeply saddened by the tragic loss of lives during the incident near Pachora in Jalgaon district, about 400 kilometers from Mumbai, India's financial capital.
The incident was condemned by Chancellor Olaf Scholz as an unbelievable act of terrorism. The stabbing occurred in a public park in the town of Aschaffenburg, with the suspect identified as a 28-year-old Afghan national and a failed asylum seeker, targeting a group of toddlers from a daycare center. The attack left a child of Moroccan origin and a 41-year-old passerby both dead. Bavaria's regional interior minister Joachim Herman told reporters. The minister suggested that the deceased passerby is believed to have courageously intervened to protect the other children, ending up fatally injured by the attacker. 3 other victims were hospitalized after the attack, including an adult with multiple knife wounds, a 2-year-old Syrian boy with minor wounds to his neck, and a daycare teacher who had broken her arm while trying to flee the attacker. Local police said that it had detained the suspect shortly after the incident in the immediate vicinity of the crime scene.
Japanese Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi said it was desirable that the new U.S. administration under President Donald Trump coming investment in AI by Japanese companies. Japan's Nikkei share average posted a 2-week closing high today, powered by SoftBank Group and other technology stocks, after Trump announced a private sector investment of up to $500 billion to fund AI infrastructure. The Nikkei ended 1.58% higher at 39,646.25, its highest close since January 8th. The announcement on Trump's second day in office follows the rolling back of former President Joe Biden's executive order on AI that was intended to reduce the risks artificial intelligence poses to consumers, workers, and national security.
A new fast-moving wildfire has erupted in LA County to evacuate a region already reeling from the most destructive fires in its history. The huge, about 45 miles northwest of the city of Los Angeles, near Castaic Lake in a mountainous area that borders several residential areas and schools. The out-of-control blaze has grown to more than 8 hours, fueled by winds and dry brush that is acting as fuel. No homes or businesses have been damaged, but about 19,000 residents have been forced to flee. The new fire is burning north of the 2 mammoth blazes which are still burning that destroyed multiple neighborhoods in the LA area earlier this month.
A rare winter storm is bringing snow and freezing rain to parts of the U.S. deep south, closing highway ports in Texas, prompting a blizzard warning in Louisiana and shattering records in Florida. At least 9 people are thought to have died due to storm accidents and cold exposure, as areas typically known for balmy winters are hit by ice and sleet as well as snow. In the country's north, parts of New York State are being hit by another storm that has already brought 18 inches of snow. More than 1,600 flights within the U.S. were cancelled and 1,765 delayed, according to online tracker FlightAware. Florida is recording the greatest amounts of snow in the state's history, with the National Weather Service saying it had received at least 8 inches, double the record of 4 inches set in 1954. The Weather Service said snow has stopped falling on the western part of the Gulf Coast, but the weather is still a concern for flights and highways throughout the region.
A magnitude 5.8 earthquake struck off the central Philippines today, leaving cracks on buildings and houses. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the earthquake had a depth of 25 kilometers of the town of San Francisco in southern Leyte province. Now, San Francisco town rescuer Roxanne Sandoval said there were no immediate reports of casualties, but huge cracks were observed on the walls of their municipal building.
The International Cricket Council has unveiled a new promotional video for the Champions Trophy featuring Pakistan's Shadab Khan and Shaheen Afridi along with India's Hardik Pandya. Let's take a look.
लाला संभल के हर खतरा
देख के भाई एक गलती और गेम ओवर
Can you do this, Hardik? ये चैंपियंस का गेम है. It's all on the line.
Hey, the president is here.
Competition, मजा आएगा.
This is the ICC Champions Trophy, where the world's 8 best teams will put for victory.
Now, the second match of the two-match test series between Pakistan and the West Indies will be played at the Multan Cricket Stadium from 25th of January. Pakistan cricket team participated in the practice session in Multan after 2 days of rest. All the 15 players of the squad did batting, bowling and fielding under the supervision of the coaches. Pakistan leads the two-match series as they won their first match by 127 runs.
Jannik Sinner of Italy, Ben Shelton of UF qualified for the semi-finals of the Australian Open at Melbourne Park, setting the stage for thrilling high-stakes battles in the quest for glory. Defending champion Jannik Sinner shattered home hopes by crushing Alex de Minaur in a straight sets rout to set up an Australian Open semi-final against him. Italian world #1 Sinner swept aside and outclassed home hope Alex de Minaur 6-3, 6-2 and 6-1 to silent Rod Laver Arena and set up a meeting with the 21st seed Ben Shelton. In the other quarterfinal match, Ben Shelton battled past the stubborn Italian Lorenzo Sonego 6-4, 7-5, 4-6 and 7-6 to reach his first Australian Open semi-final.
The semi-final lineup for the Australian Open women's singles is set, with Poland's Iga Świątek and America's Madison Keys to reach the semi-finals for the third time. After dropping the
Ireland knocked Pakistan out of the IC19 T20 World Cup 2025. In the final Group B match, Ireland successfully defended a revised target of 73 at Johor Cricket Academy Oval in Malaysia. PTV Sports HD is telecasting the series live. Ireland won the toss and chose to bat. Ireland set a target of 69 runs. The Irish team scored 25 runs for 1 wicket and 3.1 overs, and the match was stopped due to rain. The rain stopped, the match was limited to 9.9 overs. For Ireland, Alice Walsh hit 31 off 19 to help Ireland score a healthy rate of more than 7 runs in an over. For Pakistan, Mamoona Khalid took 2 wickets. In reply, Pakistan only managed to score 59 runs for the loss of 7 wickets. Skipper Komal Khan hit 12 runs. For Ireland, Ellie McGee bagged 2 wickets. Pakistan's first match against America was rained out. In the second match, the national women's team faced failure at the hands of England.
MI Emirates delivered a stunning 28-1 victory against Abu Dhabi at the Dubai International Stadium in the ongoing International League T20 2025 season. PTV Sports HD is telecasting the league live. In the 14th game of the tournament, the batting first set a tough target of 186 runs. Captain Nicholas Pooran led the charge with 49 runs, while Mohammad Wasim added 38 runs. Romario Shepherd played a lightning-fast innings of 38 runs of 13 balls. Now, the Knight Riders' Jason Holder Ali Khan took 2 wickets each. Chasing the target, Abu Dhabi Knight Riders couldn't only reach the 158 runs for the loss of 9 wickets. Andre Russell hard with 37 runs not out, and Andres Goes made 34 runs. For MI Emirates, bowlers Alzari Joseph and Romario Shepherd each took 2 wickets, stopping the Knight Riders' chase. Romario Shepherd has been a player of the match for his outstanding performance, making it a thrilling win. Emirates.
Hobart Hurricanes secured a place in the final of the 2025 Big Bash League by beating Sydney Sixers by 12 runs in the qualifier in Hobart. Hurricanes scored 173 runs for 7 wickets and 20 overs. Ben Dermott remained the top scorer with 42, while Caleb Jewell added 41 runs. Sydney Sixers' Ben Shuis and Jaffer Johan led 2 players to the pavilion. In reply, Sydney Sixers only scored 161 runs for 5 wickets and allotted the overs. Curtis Patterson's 48 and 57 by Jordan Silk were also insufficient for the Riley Meredith and Cameron Gannon took 2 wickets each. Riley Meredith was declared player of the match. PTV Sports HD is telecasting the series live.
In the UEFA Champions League, Atletico Madrid defeated Bayer Leverkusen and Barcelona defeated Benfica. In the match played in Madrid, the host team Atletico Madrid defeated German club Bayer Leverkusen by 2 goals for the winning team were scored by Julian Alvarez. The only goal for Bayer scored by Piero Encapi. This is Atletico Madrid's 16th victory in the last 17 matches. After this victory, the Spanish team has reached 3rd place on the points table with 15 points. In the match played in Portugal, the Spanish club Barcelona defeated the host Benfica by 5 goals to 4. Robert and Eric Garcia scored 1 goal for the winning team. Benfica's Wengelis Pavlidis scored 3 times, while Barcelona's Ronald Araujo scored 1 goal in form of an own goal.
Nasser triumphed over Khalij in the Saudi Professional Football League with a 3-1 victory in Dammam. The first half ended without any goals, and in the 34th minute, Al-Khalij Said Al-Hamsal received a red card, leaving his team with 10 players for the remainder of the match. Cristiano Ronaldo netted 2 goals for Al-Nassr, while Sultan Al-Ghanam added 1. Al-Khalij's sole goal came from Costas Fortounis. With this win, Al-Nassr climbed to 3rd place in the standings with 30 points, while Al-Ittihad holds 2nd place with 40 points, and Al-Hilal leads the table with 43 points.
The 5th Women Power Run event will be held in Karachi on February 2nd to empower women in society and promote Pakistan's positive image globally. Ali Asghar Arbab has the details.
Addressing the news conference in Karachi, Sardar Sohail, organizer and CEO of Born to Run, said that we are going to organize 5th Women Power Run sports event in Karachi near Seaview on 2nd February. The purpose of this event is to empower the women in the society and promote positive image of Pakistan.
This is our 5th Women Power Run. So inshallah 500 women will be participate and create a good image of Pakistan in the worldwide. Women all the time they work at home. Best way to release the work stress, and when you gather in a good environment, take a positive vibe with the other women.
Other speakers said that these kind of sports events are necessary for society to promote the sports activities. The participation is open for all women.
Any kind of physical activity is very, very important for a woman. Physical fitness is as important as mental health. And as an athlete, it's my duty to promote running activity.
The speaker said that the track for running will be 5 kilometers with all necessary facilities, and winners and participants will be awarded prizes and certificates. Ali Asghar Arbab, PTV World, Karachi.
And taking a look at the weather situation in the country, mainly cold and dry weather is expected in most parts of the country during next 24 hours. According to Met Office, light rain, light snowfall over hills is expected at isolated places in Kashmir and Baltistan during the forecast period. Met Office informed that continental air is prevailing over most parts of the country. A westerly wave is affecting western and upper parts.
And with that, we come to the end of our news presentation. For further details or live streaming, do log on to our website, world.ptv.com.pk. This is Mohammad Abdullah Dar with Farooq Fayaz signing off.
We are proud Pakistanis.
We are the healers and bring hope to those in need. We are the builders.
We are those who create the infrastructure of our country.
We are the artists who bring joy and beauty to your faces.
We are the dreamers and the doers. We are the champions, the athletes who bring glory and pride to our nation.
And we are the storytellers.
The journalists that bring you stories and news that matter.
Meet the team that brings you the latest news from all over the world.
Join us as we continue to write our story. And every day, we strive to make Pakistan stronger, brighter, and more prosperous.
We are PTV World.
खेत कल्याण, कोह दमन, फूल चमन, इस नीलगो आसमां तले समेटा है मैंने अंदर अपने इस जहां की हर दौलत को। मैं हूं अर्ज़ पाकिस्तान।
world's attention is often drawn to the popular tourist destinations, Pakistan's northern areas, there are still hidden treasures remain undiscovered even today. Nestled in the Lasbela district of Balochistan, Pakistan, Sapat Beach is a hidden gem that few people know about. Located approximately 200 kilometers from Karachi and 20 kilometers from the Kund Malir beach, reaching this beach requires a bit of effort. However, beyond the well-trodden paths lie hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. The most captivating feature of Sapat Beach is the mesmerizing rock formation known as Bujiko. These unique rocks emerge from the coastal sand, enhancing the beach's aesthetic beauty. Sapat Beach is often referred to as the Coast of Caves due to its numerous cave formations. Carved by natural erosion, these caves offer a fascinating glimpse into the geological history of the region. During the day, the sapphire waters of the sea captivate the senses. The crystal clear waters invite visitors to swim, dive, and engage in various water activities. Additionally, Sapat Beach is a popular spot for fishing, where local fishermen can be seen casting their nets into the sea, adding to the area's vibrant atmosphere. But when the night falls, something true happens at Sapat Beach. The microscopic organisms in the water soft blue light, bioluminescence, creating a captivating and unique sight. This phenomenon caused by bioluminescent microbes transforms the darkness into a mesmerizing display. The cool moonlight embraces the transparent waves, merging with the enchanting blue glow. Despite its natural glory, Sapt Beach is relatively unknown, with minimal tourism activities due to its challenging routes and limited transportation options. However, this very aspect ensures that the environment remains untouched, preserving the beach's pristine beauty. To embark on this adventure, it is advisable to hire a local guide who can navigate the rocky terrain. The journey may present its challenges, but the rewards are immeasurable. Sadly, a place as beautiful as Sapat Beach remains a hidden gem to many. It serves as a touching reminder that our world still holds undiscovered wonders awaiting exploration. A visit to Sapat Beach allows you to unwind, immerse yourself in natural beauty, and escape the chaos of city life. So, if you seek extraordinary and unforgettable experience, the journey to Sapat Beach is one you won't regret.
Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has strongly condemned Indian Army cruelty and oppression in occupied Jammu and Kashmir, reaffirming Pakistan's unwavering political, moral, diplomatic and support to the Kashmiris until their right to self-determination, as enshrined in relevant UN resolutions, is realized. Pakistan and China are writing a new chapter that will benefit the generations to come. Minister for Planning and Development Ahsan Iqbal says work on projects Karakoram Highway Phase 2 and ML1 will commence this year. The government is working to reduce its expenditures and debt servicing. Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb says achieving sustainable development is Pakistan's top priority, as debt to GDP ratio has decreased from 78% to 67%. Pakistan stands ready to share its counter-terrorism expertise with African partners and assist in establishing institutional structures and capacity building for sustainable peace. The United Nations warns that Israel's ongoing attacks on the occupied West Bank at a Jenin refugee camp nearly uninhabitable, with at least 10 people killed and water and electricity cut off from the main hospital there. United Nations says occupied Palestinian territories. The UN spokesperson's comments came in reaction to Donald Trump's nominee for UN ambassadorship's assertion that Israel has a biblical right in the occupied Palestinian territory. U.S. President Donald Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff has announced he will visit Gaza in the coming days as part of what he called an inspection team to monitor the ceasefire agreement reached between Israel and Hamas last week. Posters appeared across Srinagar and other areas of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, urging people to observe India's Republic Day, January 26th, as Black Day. All parties Hurriyat conference concern over the prevailing situation in occupied territory ahead of India's Republic Day. The United States military has started to send 1,500 active duty troops to the country's southern border with Mexico as part of President Donald Trump's long-promised crackdown on immigration. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman says the kingdom would expand its investment and trade with the United States to $600 billion over 4 years and potentially beyond that. At least 11 people died in a rail accident in India's western Maharashtra state when they disembarked from their train fearing a fire, only to be hit by another train passing on the adjacent track. A child and an adult were killed and 3 others injured when a play school group was attacked in a town in the German state of Bavaria. Thousands evacuated as new fast-growing fire ignites near Los Angeles, a region already reeling from the most destructive fires in its history. He unveils a new promo for the Champions Trophy featuring Pakistan's Shadab Khan and Shaheen Afridi along with India's Hardik Pandya. Hello, Assalamu Alaikum. You're watching PTV World. I'm Farrukh Fayaz. Those were the headlines for this hour. For more details and live streaming of the channel, you can visit our website, world.ptv.com.pk. It's goodbye from the news studio.
These are the forests of Ayuubia National Park. Pakistan's last stretch of moist, temperate forest. Monsoon clouds constantly hover over the tall pine trees. They release rain, only to be replaced by new ones. These rains are the sustainer of life in the forest, giving rise to majestic pine trees and nourishing the unique flora and fauna. As the rainwater flows over the forest floor, it is absorbed by the earth. The rest seeps into rock crevices, eventually forming magnificent waterfalls and springs of crystal clear water. The roots of these massive trees anchor into the earth and spread over the forest floor, holding the soil and rock firmly together. Without these trees that act as barriers, the mountains would crumble. Water would wash away the rich soil, make the slopes lifeless. The forest provides home to countless creatures. The hollow tree trunk provides shelter to birds and flying squirrels. The rock becomes to the scorpion, and the dense undergrowth provides perfect refuge to rare endemic species of mammals and birds. The serenity of the forest is broken. The woodcutter chops away at a pine that once stood tall and proud. The threat from logging and deforestation constantly hovers over this forest landscape, threatening the forest and its creatures. These forests are also vital for locals who make use of the countless medical plants, vegetables and herbs that are found in the forest. The forest is a gift from Mother Nature. We should all strive to preserve this natural wonder for our future generations.
डॉक्टर चेक कर लो डॉक्टर अगर ठीक
Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim, Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim, Assalamualaikum, Jiayanu, Pakhairagale, Ni Hao, Chunashumme, Washmale, Ohio Gonzaimas, Guten Morgen, Hola, Boyo, Privyet, Kaifahal, Halishuma Chatore, Ahlan Wasar, Marhaba, Buna, Mucho, Gracias, Swabia, Balli Kareaya, Hosh Galden and Ayosaya, Huyamura, Chivato, Chihaljot, Kalimera, Khairutan, and a very warm welcome to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I happen to be Shahzad Hasan Khan. With me, I'm really lucky that I've been joined by my very well-learned colleague, who happens to be Ms. Haja Satti. Hello, Haja. Assalamu alaikum. How are you feeling today?
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much, Jazakallah khair, for introducing me. And now moving on to aspects of our stories that our team compiles and do a lot of research in making sure that some interesting bits of the section comes to you, and that is related to Pakistan's cricket team, and that holds practice session for the second test. The second match of the two-match test series between Pakistan and West Indies will be played at the Multan Cricket Stadium from January 25th. Pakistan in the practice session in Multan after 2 days of the rest. After all the 15 players of the squad did the batting, bowling and fielding under the supervision of the coaches, Pakistan leads the two-test match series as they won their first match the 127, and good luck to Team Pakistan, because there's a, I guess, a Champions Trophy, I believe, is approaching, and may the best team win. And we've seen, and already we know that cricket is a sport that runs really high on the emotions. I would say that a lot of people, Pakistanis' emotions are invested, and I'm still surprised as to why this is not a national game, considering its popularity and considering that how much we own that sports, because it is played in every street, in every corner.
Exactly, and not just that. I think in addition to this, when hockey was actually kind of designated as our national sport as well, Pakistan was doing very wonderfully well in hockey too as well. But I think Haja is very right on this. But while we are at it, and while we're talking about West Indies and Pakistan and 2 test matches and them to come together, I think there's always been a debate about, you know, how we are making sure that now we need to make spin tracks. Now imagine that Pakistan might have won with 127 runs, but imagine the number of balls being bowled and the scores being in aggregate as well. I think the last time the lowest score was somewhere around in 1980s, and that too was against West Indies. So I think it's very interesting, the debacle and the argument is actually on about it. But we are at it. Let's talk about how the weather is going to look like, you know, probably in days to come and for today. So for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's a very basic line that we say it's going to be cold and dry weather, which is obviously expected. But according to the Met Office, I think there needs to be a change of vocabulary too as well.
Yeah, then you should work hard for that, right?
Yeah, and I think that for all of those people who are writing these stories, probably we can come up with that. But according to Met Office, light rain, snowfall over hills is expected at isolated places in Baltistan during the forecast period. Met Office informed that continental air is prevailing over most of the country. A westerly wave is affecting western and upper parts of the country. So, ladies and gentlemen, just make sure, you know, it's more of an advisory for everybody who's out there. If you're traveling, keep yourself warm, you know, just, you know, take all the precaution measures which you're supposed to, you know, while you're traveling. Maybe, you know, foggy patches on the motorway areas.
Speaking of rain, and there's a very interesting reincarnation of the rain, and that too in the form of the coffee. For the coffee lovers in the Singapore, a coffee shop introduced a unique idea of serving a coffee, which has garnered a lot of interest from the customers, and that video is also making many viral rounds on the internet. The concept titled Sweet Lit was cotton candy suspended over the hot coffee, which then melts as a result of the steam that rises, causing the cloud to gently rain into the cup. The melting sugar creates a visually stunning experience, and we've seen that you know, how nice is that, but I don't know if I would like to have that cup of the coffee, because I'm not a big fan of the cotton candy, but I guess the sweetness in the coffee comes from that. And now moving on to another very interesting event, and we at the PTV world have always championed younger voices coming to our platform, being projected on the platform, because Pakistan's young population consists of around 60%, and how to cater to such a vast audience out there, such a vast demographic, say a particular population about it, and how to make sure that their voices do not only reflect in the governance, but they're also reflected in the policy matters, in the educational matter, in the academic matter, because these are the voices, I would believe, that they are more evolved, because they are more in tune with what is happening around them. So in order to make sure that younger voices have more say, there is the Prime Minister's National Youth Council diligently working in order to unfold the conversation, what exactly Prime Minister's National Youth Council is about and how it is helping project the younger voices. Now, we're very glad that we have been joined by Malik Haider Ali. He happens to be the member of Prime Minister's National Youth Council, student of IST, Institute of Space and Technology. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Wonderful to have you over here. In addition to this, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by another member as well. Tariq, thank you so much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. But not just that, I think in addition to this, we really need to kind of say it out loud as well, that the first National Youth Council has actually fulfilled their term. These are the newly elected or selected members. Speak about it. But in addition to this, Haja, very quickly, you know, the Asia Commonwealth Youth Alliance is taking place for the very first time, and the secretariat is going to be in Pakistan. So I think it's a great deal. Congratulations. All the hard work being put in. Let's get started with the conversation. How do you feel about it, first of all?
Well, it's great, because I have already been part of the Prime Minister Youth Program, and I have seen all the team at the Prime Minister Youth Program, including the chairman, Rana Mashood, has been working very hard for this Commonwealth Asia Youth Alliance. And
Chairman Prime Minister Youth Program, yes.
Exactly, Rana Mashood Saab. So now, finally, the days are coming, and we're going to launch the Kaya initiative here in Islamabad. The delegates are going to come by Sunday or hopefully by Monday.
Yep.
And their secretariat is also be going to launch this coming week in Pakistan.
And that's wonderful. Since Sharuk, now let's come forward to you and let's develop this conversation. How do you believe it is contributing towards generating a stronger younger presence with circles, within the academic circles, within the governance structures, and how do you believe such sort of a more broader inclusive participation for younger people, and who is eligible to participate?
I think like we always hear that youth is a very important factor in any country's development or growth. So I think that...
do you believe in that?
I do believe in that,
wonderful.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like engaging youth in understanding the problems that a country is facing and then talking about those problems, talking is very important, and then working towards better policy making and how we can solve those problems. I think it's very important. And I think that's a very great initiative by the government.
Yes, yes. And Heather, so now let's move forward to you, since you belong to IST, which is Institute of Space and Technology, right? And before the red light of the camera went on, we were talking about the technological corridors, right? How much a digital century it is driven by the artificial intelligence, social media. It's a very fabric of our lives. You know, what sort of developments are taking place when we talk about the technological corridors, that too in the governance circles, and how do you believe that your participation as a younger leader will help understand maybe the bureaucracy, which is not very young, to younger voices, because very, very difficult task. I mean, gearing them towards this particular younger concept note.
And it's certainly important because you happen to be the UN Junior Ambassador for SDG goals. You went to Massachusetts, you're at climate change, you're doing the advocacy yourself. So please go ahead, tell us.
Additionally, I was, before going to US, I was appointed as Ambassador for International Liaison on the Prime Minister Youth Program. And on that behalf, I negotiated with the 4 bureaus of State Department in DC, along with the EPA headquarters, their youth council. So while coming back to your question, universities play a critical role. Here I would like to mention the role of my department, my university, my department, mechanical engineering department, under the supervision of HOD Dr. Asif Asrar. Back to US, we are right now working for creating a climate research plan, which is going to be funded by Gates Foundation in collaboration with the Bureau of OES, US State Department, and which is going to enable the Pakistani student to do tier 1 research, top tech research on climate technologies like CCS, climate modeling, etc., etc. And then we are going to project those research in the international arena, for example, when we have World Economic Forum and stuff like that. So it's, you know, it's a complete corridor in which we are working, and especially our Vice Chancellor, Brigadier Zia, and Head of Department, Dr. Asif Israr, are taking keen interest in it, and inshallah ta'ala it will be soon. You guys will see it.
Inshallah, we hope that this happens. So now, Shuru, coming back to you, since you are a journalist by profession, right? So, and I'm also a journalist. I've studied journalism as a subject in my university, and I do see that nowadays there's a lot of the journalism by the younger people. They're not tuning into the broadcast houses and the journalism houses, and there's generally a disconnect between the younger people and the consumption of the news, right? With such sort of, I would say, the dilemma which is taking place within the journalism houses, how do you think that we can rope in the younger voices, or you as a journalist can play a vital role? Because there was a time when media would be called the 4th pillar of the society, right? But I don't believe that's the case anymore, because a lot of people are away from this profession. So how do you bridge that disconnect?
I feel like media is still very important. I do agree that the youth, they're engaging more on social media. But the problem with social media is there's a lot of disinformation and misinformation. And I think we still need to rely on legit media houses to actually know the actual news that is fact-based. So, and another thing, that if you really want to engage the youth, I think we should focus more on human interest stories, which I think, and the things that actually matter to the people.
And I do believe, in addition to this, I think what we really need to do is that our youngsters really need to do the fact-finding themselves. You know, so if we are speaking or saying that, you know, that we are journalists, I think it's our responsibility to fact-find and then make sure that we share it with other people. But what is the common sentiment when you come across, you know, youngsters, probably your class fellows, you know, your friends, and there's this story that they're sharing with you, but you know the facts yourself. Is it hard convincing them, hey, you know, the way that you think?
Absolutely.
Thank you
Oh
so
my
much.
God, the arguments start this way. Oh no, you don't know. We know. And I think again, it comes from disinformation and misinformation. People would just believe anything that's put on social media, and they wouldn't believe actual journalists who are on ground reporting about stuff.
Which is why I would want to connect it. Now imagine that, that your oath taking ceremony will be on Monday or Tuesday. Inshallah, the Commonwealth, Youth Alliance as well is going to be taking place for the very first time in Pakistan. Imagine there will be ministers. The Honorable Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, Mir Mohammad Shahbaz Sharif Saab, is going to be there. Now imagine that this is a come across when you are seeing your own peers or your friends, right? Imagine now you have a greater responsibility where they rely on you, that you really need to serve the purpose of being a think tank or somebody who's doing their research, fact-finding. How do you bridge that gap? I'm going to come back to you. When you go to, a minister of a relevant ministry, you're like, sir, I think that we really need to do this. How welcoming are they? And do you think that that actually serves the purpose of you being in the National Youth Council?
Well, that's exactly the critical role of National Youth Council, because as member of NYC, we have to advise the highest office, Prime Minister office, that
How does it feel though?
It's a responsibility. It's a big responsibility, because role in the regional dynamics, because youth is the 60% of the population, and if they gets demotivated, then it's gonna be fatal for not only our state but also. So we have to advise every department that what initiatives they should take to empower the youth, and once the youth is listened up, their voices are heard, they are going to be satisfied.
And I think that's a very interesting point to further develop this conversation. And Shahrukh, I would like to come to you. So Pakistan's younger population is 60%, right? And we all know this very well verse conversation that younger population is a demographic gift. But if they are not, their productivity is not utilized in a very productive manner, that can become also a demographic bomb if they're not guided properly. And since you guys represent more, I would like to say, the urban areas, the urban centers, how you're making sure that a lot of population who are residing in the rural areas, they are also being represented in such sort of platforms, right? Because I do feel that the awareness level might not be as much high as it is in the urban areas in the first center. So do you feel that there is a proportionate representation of them? And if not, how do you think that you can bridge this gap?
So as a journalist, I've been to those areas and I've spoken to those people myself, especially during the floods. And since I focus more on climate change, I love to focus more on climate change. So I think I would be able to, though it's a very huge responsibility, but I think since I've spoken to those people and I know what their problems are, I think and I hope that I'm able to be that bridge to that gap that you just talked about, and be a voice for them, because as you said, there are people who are voiceless and they cannot actually speak about their problems.
But I think when we further develop this conversation, when we talk about giving them a voice, so Heather, I would like you to answer it, since you're related with the technology and IST has a role to play in that. So for example, we do see that in Pakistan, Pakistan has a very vibrant freelancing culture, but we do see that on and off there are internet disruptions, right? And there are a lot of villages within Pakistan, they're really related to the TikTok or all of these platforms, right? How can you convince the government to create more flourishing breeding grounds so those people can be, catered to, right? And in the second place, I would like to say, for example, our neighboring country, it has a very vibrant Silicon Valley, right? Pakistan does not have it, right? Exactly. And if we take this IT sector as a breeding ground, and it can be a massive, because we do see content creator, they're earning a hell lot of money, and that can bridge in and rope in a lot of money to Pakistan. So how can you convince the people who are at the top to support this environment?
To serve the purpose.
Well, the core objective of National Youth Council was to make sure that people, not only all across Pakistan, from the minorities, but also for the first time, overseas Pakistanis are also included in this initiative.
Yeah.
So by their addition, I think so everyone will be given equal share of representing their concerns and drafting out a policy, since, you know, people from all different backgrounds are going to be part of this initiative.
And that's exactly what I wanted to ask. Now, imagine that 15,000 came in, you know,
Yes.
all these 15,000 people wanted to be a member of the National Youth Council.
Exactly.
You know, the overseas participation, I believe, is obviously, or needs to be welcomed and probably applauded as well. But while we're at it, you know, because of the question that we were speaking about, that what about people who actually live in rural areas? You have visited those areas, Shuruk, yourself. Do you think that, you know, that once, inshallah, you will be at the oath-taking ceremony, there will be equal representation of
Yes.
all the regions of the country? Do you think that that's how the National Youth Council is being constituted?
Indeed,
Whoever
there
wants to
is.
answer.
There's so much, like the Prime Minister office took, you know, they take all the people coming from different villages, their transport and everything is funded by the PM office, and even the overseas Pakistanis, they're like supported by the Prime Minister office.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful, and thank you so much for saying that as well, because that's the kind of participation that we really need from, you know, all the youngsters. May them be wherever. So may them be in Italy, may them be in UK, may them be in Canada.
And I think we also need to ensure of the overseas Pakistanis, because they play a very vital role in those countries, and utilize not just in the monetary terms but also in the non-monetary terms. We can utilize their potential ambassador for our representation there.
Exactly.
So what are your concluding remarks, both of you? Very quickly, Shuruk, and then Heather.
I think that it's a very huge responsibility, but I'm honored to be a part of the Youth Council.
Wonderful.
And I'll try best to be a voice for the voiceless and be a bridge for the gap that is there.
That's exactly what we want. Heather, before you share your concluding remarks, there's one more aspect that I would want you to answer on that. That is that now, for all of a sudden, you know, a youngster who's already a member of the National Youth Council, do you take advantage of that at times?
There is no advantage.
Because I think we really need to kill this very misadventure what people do when they have an opportunity.
There is no advantage, because every government vacancy have its own requirements and SOPs, and you have to comply with that.
Okay.
And nobody is going to facilitate you.
All right, that's
and
wonderful.
thank you so much for saying that and for these concluding remarks. And at PTV World, we also make sure that we bring in young voices as much and give voices to all of those voiceless people who might not be given that sort of a platform. So we will conclude this segment, and thanks both of the guests once again for being
Wonderful.
here.
Best of luck
and,
for your
best of
oath-taking.
luck for your oath taking, and best of luck. It's a huge responsibility. I hope that you're able to shoulder it. And now moving on to whether a very interesting news, and in which a mother is a mother, you know, whether it's from the human society or from it's from the animal society. So mother dog brings sick puppy to the vet's office, carrying her to the front door to a veterinarian clinic in Turkey. The video shows the dog arriving at the vet's clinic doorsteps with her pup. The staff at the clinic took the puppy, which had a faint heartbeat, and began treating it, and all this while mother stayed by her sick puppy. The staff administered an adrenaline shot and warmed the puppy using a hair dryer. Was reunited with her mother and the sibling, which had earlier been brought to the clinic by the locals concerned about his health.
Wow.
And this video shows that, you know, how the dogs and the cats are treated in the Turkey. And I've been to Istanbul a couple of times and I've seen that. I think it's most feline friendly country, because they love their stray dogs there, and they are putting so much food out there. And this shows that how empathy and the kindness, which are very integral part, I would say, the fitra of the animals, it also brings the best in us human beings.
Exactly, and that's exactly what is required as well. You know, so may it be the UK, may it be Istanbul in Turkey or anywhere else as well. Imagine that I was in States last time. We couldn't really, you know, let the dog go outside because there was neighborhood watch going on, and they do not really let or allow your dog to be outside for a longer period of time. But while we're at it, and while a mother will be a mother, a whale will be a whale as well, ladies and gentlemen. Where it gets interesting, where a beluga whale delighted spectators at Harbin Polar Park in the northeast China with a synchronized dance routine alongside its keeper. The whale moved in harmony to Bruno Mars and Blackpink's hit song, Petit, Petit. Yeah, so that's the song. Swaying and nodding, the beluga's playful performance captivated the audience. Known for their curious and social nature, belugas are a favorite among marine enthusiasts, and this entertaining display has further highlighted their charm and intelligence. Wow.
Right, and now we will move forward to another very interesting segment, and that deals with how we talked about social media as an integral social fabric of our lives, and we cannot dismiss that. And one of the sub-aspect or sub-community of the social media, I would like to say, is the gaming sector. And it is such a huge billion-dollar industry. So many people are investing in it, but with the gaming industry of, I would say, challenges and opportunities that comes with it, we do see that people are hooked to the gaming, and there are a lot of concern, but how can we make gaming a positive experience? Because while social media and these screens will remain an integral part of our life, we need to make sure that how we learn to live with that. True. And how to make sure that there are selves to ensure that gaming brings a positive experience rather than a negative one. And we will also talk about the toxicity and the harassment in the online gaming communities. How can we make sure that positive experience? To further into it, I'm very glad that we have been joined by a Canadian Pakistani who happens to be living in the UAE, and he's also been bestowed upon this very honorary title. He's made the ambassador of the gaming by the UAE Police Department there, and he happens to be Taha Khokar. Assalamu alaikum, Taha, and thank you.
Walaikum salam. Thank you guys for having me.
Parkman, it's wonderful to have you on the show. I mean, obviously, I think that the session which you're about to unfold will be really interesting. Haja, please go ahead. You were about to ask something.
And I think, sabse pehle, I would like to ask you, what are some of the latest and viral gaming challenges which everyone is trying since you are into this field? Why don't you go ahead and talk about it?
I think the biggest thing that everyone is trying to get into right now is, like, gaming is such a vast area right now, especially with esports taking over so much of the world now. It's not just about the content side of things. It's not just playing games, but now you have gaming tournaments that are worth millions and millions of dollars. Saudi Arabia, for example, is a very big part of this with their esports World Cup, soon esports Olympics. Esports World Cup, for example, had a $50 million prize pool last year. And this year, they're planning to go even higher with even bigger prize pools. So, you know, that is a challenge that people are attacking from all sides, where everyone is trying to get good or extremely good at certain games, from Fortnite to Call of Duty to Counter-Strike to League of Legends, and trying to get into those games, because each game alone has like a 5 mil for people.
Right, and Taha, how much social media is pivotal to influencing the gaming culture? Because honestly speaking, I'm not very much into the gaming, so I will lead and educate a lay person like me.
So I think social media plays a huge role, not just in esports, but also gaming as a whole. Because without influencers, without people making videos on social medias, most games would not be as big as they are now, right? The marketing, traditional marketing is, I would say, somewhat dead in a way nowadays. When it comes to marketing your games, you need influencers, you need people who have virality in order for your videos to actually get pushed, in order for your video games to be marketed properly. And I think that's where social media plays a huge role, where a game can, you know, do good or do bad just based on if content creators are playing it or not. And this is where I guess you can say Call of Duty is taking a hit right now, with a lot of influencers, you know, having negative things to say about the game right now, with, you know, the cheating scene in there, and that's why Call of Duty's player base is down.
But Parkman, you know, I think, you know, let's unfold it, and, you know, let's dive a little more deeper. Now, imagine that I actually happen to be the only person who's actually been hosting these esports gaming competitions over here in the country. May it be PUBG, may it be Fortnite. The winning prize is in millions of rupees as well. But now imagine that, you know, it goes beyond that. First of all, you know, it's a challenge for parents to kind of understand that it can certainly run a household. For example, Arsalan Ash happens to be one of the only Red Bull sponsored e-gaming athlete over here in the country, number one. Number two, now if we are to speak about that, imagine that there are alliances, and then, for example, like we have Pakistan Cricket Board, you know, looks after all the players. There are people over here who are actually building this community. They make sure that they're going to get the best talent, bring them together, in fact, pay for their travel, lodging, and there's a fee that they're going to get monthly as well, and then there's a cut which the company will get eventually, because they have been sponsoring them for so long. So how do you think that the parents need to understand that gaming these days can actually be a very fruitful
probably business or a household run for any individual who's actually into it, number one. Number two, how do you think that these companies which are forming up now really need to be on the international level? Or do you think that we are at the international level? Are we at par with them?
I think Pakistan is, as a whole, is getting to that point now. I think slow and steady, it's coming to a point where it is on that international stage. You know, you have Red Bull doing a lot of big events as well, where you see them putting on competitions. I know PUBG has been doing incredible things from PUBG Mobile. I've seen tournaments that, you know, are watched from all over the world that were hosted in Pakistan. And all these massive prize pools, they do help. I think it is not at peak just yet, but I think it's getting there. I think peak will come from you know, involving a lot more international talent, which is, I think, somewhere they're slacking just a little bit on that end. Um, as far as like the parental side goes, you know, our parents grew up in a different era. You know, they grew up in a time where making money online was mostly scams. You know, that thing. And with how times have changed, we just need to not look at it in a bad way. Instead, we need to be able to explain to our parents how we plan on doing that. You know, how things have changed.
Your parents look at it. Taha, how did your parents look at it when you started gaming? You know, because imagine that you've garnered 1.5 million followers. Parkman is a household name. You know, you were an ambassador for UAE government too. How was it when your parents realized, okay, now Taha's doing something, so we should actually allow him to do something? Number one. And in addition to this, what we have seen is that kids these days, rather than even playing, they see players online playing some video game. You know, so there's a bit of transition into it.
For sure. My parents were a little bit, you know, confused about it at first. You know, they didn't understand it. And, you know, they weren't for it. They weren't fully against it. They just, you know, were kind of confused on how they feel about it. They thought at first, you know, obviously like every other parent, like, oh, you're wasting your. But I did not take that as hate. You know, I didn't build hate inside me like, oh, they're not letting me do what I want. I just said, you know what, give me some time. I'll make it work and I'll show you so then you can understand it a bit more. And that's what I did. You know, I worked hard. I worked extremely hard for a few months. Like initially in 2020, for about 6 months straight, I was going to college online. I was working 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. I was making my own videos and I was streaming every single day. And
4 hours in
those
a day,
6 months,
bro. So 10 hours you were working, 6 hours you were working, 10 hours you were studying, 16 hours gone. How did you manage to do that?
I was running on 3 hours of sleep a night for 6 months straight.
Right, but Taha, now let's unfold the conversation and hinge back to our topic, which is the maximizing positives in the gaming experience. So there are lots of researches that actually shows that how the addiction to these video games can enhance the violence within the violent tendencies within the players, right? But if you've seen that how gaming has evolved a lot. So how can we maximize the positives within that entire, I mean, very violent sort of the videos that we see? And we will unfold the conversation as you answer that, so please go ahead.
I think for beginners, like the studies, I feel like are inaccurate. I think if someone is being violent, that is a violent tendency that was always there, that was going to come out one way or another, and it's not just related to gaming. You know, at some point, people have psychotic breaks or whatever they might be, and that's going to come out no matter what. I don't think gaming is truly the one that factor that put. I mean, I feel like personally, I've been through enough in life where gaming has cope with things. You know, it's helped me overcome things that were making me feel bad. You know, bad things in life, bad news in life, and gaming has always been the one thing that has kept me kind of sane during those times.
Right. So it's a good escape, but Taha, we also need to address the toxicity and the harassment in the online gaming communities. So with your vast experience within this particular arena, how do you think we can address these concerns? Because when we talk about maximizing positives, I think it's essential that we address the negatives within that online community.
I mean, toxicity online is a very common thing. It's sadly a big part of gaming, yes, but you cannot feed toxicity with toxicity. That's the number one way to avoid it. If someone is being toxic with you, you have to go positive no matter what, because you never know what the other person is going through. Maybe the other person's just going through a lot in life and they're venting to you out of toxicity. And with you being positive back towards them, they could change up their behavior too, which I've personally seen countless amount of times. You know, as a streamer, for example, I used to get a lot of hate comments regarding how I look, where I'm from, things of that sort. And I would never go with a toxic response. I would always try to be positive, like, hey man, it's okay. I'm doing what I do. How are you doing? And then they would completely change.
Look at it this way. For example, if we are to watch sports on probably cricket or hockey or any other sport, there's a bit of sledging which goes on. And I think that it's taken in a very true kind of a thing. But with e-gaming, how would you kind of balance that whether it's harassment because somebody's saying something, there's a lot of sledging which goes on the pitches, even in between the players as well. So do you take it that, okay, we really need to take it on with high sportsman spirit? Do you think it's the same, or do you think that it's literally harassment then?
No, I think overall gaming works the same way as sports. It's a lot of it is, it's exactly as you said, it's not something serious. A lot of the time, the toxicity is just part of the game where it's, it's in sportsmanship. It's like, people just being weird to each other. You just take it on the chin and just go with it. I think harassment comes in when people are taking it above and beyond, threatening to find your location, to send SWAT teams and things of that sort to your house.
Right. And Taha, very quickly, because we have to wrap up this segment. What are the latest gaming genres or mechanics that are going viral since you are into it? Please describe it to us.
At the moment, I think the biggest genre going viral is, I would say, extraction shooters and battle royales. I think those have a very big future. Battle royales have been around for the last 4 to 6 years, but I don't think it is truly at its peak just yet. The peak, I'd say, was PUBG initially when it came through. But going forward, I think it's going to be a healthy mix between battle royale and extraction shooters, being like a 2-in-1.
Right. Thank you so much, Taha, for being on our show, for explaining to us the online gaming communities. And we have seen that nowadays the income streams have diversified so much that content creation or the social media, which we used to consume just for the fun or for the entertainment, has now become a live income for a lot of people, for a lot of youngster people. Yes, and that is why we are witnessing a content boom. As it was happening for the past a decade or more than a decade. But in Pakistan, it has also gained the momentum, but a lot of responsibilities, a lot of the negatives that we also need to address that. And that is one of the things that I feel is the burnouts that a lot of people are experiencing, especially the content. We'll save that debate for some other day, but it's a very interesting topic. We will talk about it. We are going on a show. We come back. We have a very interesting discussion lined up, and that deals with the arts and the brushing of what do you call the sculptor and all of this. So don't go anywhere. Good morning.
Good morning.
Are proud Pakistanis.
We are the healers and bring hope to those in need. We are the builders.
We are the engineers who create the infrastructure of our country.
We are the artists who bring joy and beauty to your faces.
We are the dreamers and the doers. We are the champions, the athletes who bring glory and pride to our nation.
And we are the storytellers.
The journalists that bring you stories and news that matter.
Meet the team that brings you the latest news with the world.
As we continue to write our story. And every day, we strive to make Pakistan stronger, brighter, and more prosperous.
We are PTV World.
Pakistan are rampant at the moment.
That's
gone off India. Sapat takes the catch, it's all over. Pakistan win. India blown away in the final, and it's Pakistan who are over the line. Massive win. That's a big shot, big six. Fakhar Zaman has played a lovely shot down the ground.
Fakhar Zaman says.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Obviously, earlier we were in conversation with Parkman about games. Imagine that esports Olympics taking place is certainly a positive for any other country. Now imagine that now we are going to come down to a subject which is very close to my heart, Hajra's heart, and everybody's heart. Because imagine that if we take the HE out of the heart, it leaves art. That's what we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who actually happens to be a visual artist. The kind of technique that she uses is impressionistic. You know, her national ventures and international ventures are equally kind of famous, but not just that. I think to speak about it, we're very lucky that we have been joined by Ms. Nusrat Ji. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Wonderful to have you.
Thank you so much for having me over. It's an absolute pleasure. So, Nusrat, conversation about what is trending right now, and how did you find your groove, visual artisanship and the floral painting?
Or probably if you would want to kind of ask or probably share with us, what is art for you?
Art basically is an expression. It can be anything like dancing, poetry, writing, acting, you name it. Art is basically an expression.
Right. So we talk about your paintings. So for example, your painting, what goes into your mind when you are drawing that painting? Is it a very therapeutic form of the self-expression?
Well, when I paint, whatever comes to my mind. I'm very passionate about horses.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love to paint them because from my childhood I've been seeing these very majestic horses walking around. I used to live in UR1 in Lahore, and there we had a race course ground, and I would see such beautiful horses.
Arabian horses in particular as well.
Yeah. Right. I think horses are very magnificent creatures, and in the painting they're so enticing.
They're full of strength and power, and
there's
force.
Something very attractive about it, especially in a painting and about capturing them. Their beauty is very unmatched. So now when we move on to your painting, what are some of the common themes that we can find which you love to delve into and then paint it with your hand?
Well, as I said earlier, horses are my really first choice.
Right.
And I think basically I've tried to portray Pakistan, Pakistani culture.
Right.
And I've painted, in fact, I've been to a lot of places where I observe and see and then try to capture their activities, their cultural activities, whatever.
And if we are to kind of look at your work as well, obviously we have spoken about how the way you do it is impressionistic, it's very much visible as well. But while we're at it, Nusrat Ji, imagine that a child who was 7 years old and was given probably a paintbrush in his hand, didn't even study about it, right? But with you, it's very different. The theoretical aspect of it, the research aspect of it, and then the skill aspect of it. So you make sure that you're going to amalgamate them all and then eventually produce an art piece. Do you think that the theory and the research is as much important as much the skill? Or do you think that if only you have the skill, you can still be a good artist?
Well, you have to have some kind of talent in you.
Yep.
As a child, if you are painting, you can express freely whatever comes to your mind. There's no copying work or fake work of that child.
Yep.
It's his internal, personal expression what he tries to draw.
Right.
And that is the true art. And if he has a talent, I think the parents should encourage the child to study art, because art is everything.
And that's exactly why I asked you this question, because your skill set eventually or initially came from your mother. And alhamdulillah, all of you four sisters, one way or the other, are into different art forms, right? So for your mother, you know, to kind of, or you seeing your mother, you know, having that art form to herself or that skill set, how much did it inspire you? And once you had that skill and you went on to kind of learn the theory and the research, how was it for you, the entire journey?
Well, my mother was the first student of, one of the first students of Anna Mulka. If you have heard about her, she is the pioneer of...
The pictures that you shared was written in there.
Pioneer of art in Pakistan, and she was one of the first students of her, and I saw a few of her paintings. In fact, I have one or two with me also at home, and she would talk a lot about her days when she was studying art. So an inspiration of me, she was my inspiration.
Those times.
Yes, and then we are sisters, we all took fine arts, and I went into painting. My other sisters, they are good in their own way.
That's wonderful.
They are also very arty people.
That's very wonderful. And Nusrat ji, now we would further like to explore. And it is said that art is the imitation of nature, right? Whatever is in the nature, you are copying that, and that is what it is. So within the younger people who are also into this field of being artists, would you like to name, you know, which are some of the younger people who inspire you? And if you talk about Pakistan's very rich art history or art scene, what are some of the very strong influences that you also find among your work, which you are inspired to, which you look after, and which aspect of that inspires you?
You're talking of floral.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. Again, my mother comes in. I had always seen lovely flower arrangements in my house, and right from childhood. And every room had a flower, floral piece somewhere or the other, in the corner or in the centerpiece. So I picked up from her. Then we had a very nice garden. We had lovely flowers all over. And then when I got married and shifted to Karachi, there I learnt floral art.
But Nusrat,
actually I learnt. And then from that on, now what you see all over Pakistan, you have seen how the floral culture has developed.
And
it's all because of us.
And there are now competitions as well where people are actually bringing in their flowers. Do you like our flower arrangement for that sake?
Well, it's a
I think let's not delve into it. That's not a very interesting conversation. But Nusrat ji, when we talk about, I do see that because of these mass production, there are a lot of you know, things that are readily available in the market. But there was a time when I talked to my mother, my grandmother, and she used to say that we used to do things, and you know, little things used to give us so much joy. But now when we go to the market and we are you know, even buying something, you know, really expensive, it does not give us that much joy, because you know, they are readily available, and I mean, the human touch is not involved in that, right? It's made by the machine. How do you find that transition, you know, from when your human touch was present in the arts and now it's mass produced? You know, what do you have to say about it?
Let me tell you something that I think it was 1970s when this whole culture started. There were 5 ladies who started a small, it was a gathering, and they decided to have a sort of floral society, and they started organizing shows, and I was one of them, early pioneer floral designer, and that's how it started, you know, flourishing. And every annual show, and that show is like after all, when it finishes, we collect a charity, and we spend that money for the charity. We give them any, you name any big
deserving
organization. Yes. We do help them out. Basically, our aim is to help others and create beauty in this world. And for that, We have also joined WAFA, which is World Floral Society of Pakistan, and NAFA, which is National Association of Floral of England.
Right.
We visit these shows all over the world. In fact, in 2008, we were supposed to hold floral show, big show.
Right.
And you've received numerous awards, may it be New Zealand, may it be Dubai, may it be elsewhere as well. But since we're short on time, Mr. G, thank you so much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you over here.
Thank you so much.
For everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, I've seen my mother do it. I've seen my Nana Boo do it. You know, and they've played a major role in how now I am into kitchen gardening as well. Really do play a very pivotal role.
Right, and thank you so much once again for our worthy guest being here. And I think her nobility, and I wish and pray that her nobility continues to grow, because giving charity is something that is always encouraged in lots of different traditions and the religion. With that, we are bidding you so goodbye. Allah Hafiz.
So good morning.
Choose less over more in it. Be satisfied with what you have, even if it is less than what others have. In fact, prefer have less.
Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif strongly condemns the Indian Army for its continued cruelty and occupied Jammu and Kashmir, reaffirming Pakistan's unwavering political, moral and diplomatic support to the Kashmiris until their right to self-determination, as enshrined in relevant UN resolutions, is realized. Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb holds a number of meetings on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum at Davos, highlighting the key structural reforms undertaken by the government to promote economic stability and sustainable growth. Pakistan stands ready to share its counter-terrorism expertise with African partners and assist in establishing institutional capacity building for sustainable peace. The United Nations warns that Israel's ongoing attacks on the occupied West Bank have left Jenin refugee camp nearly uninhabited, with at least 10 people killed and water and electricity cut off from the main hospital there. United Nations says West Bank is part of occupied Palestinian territories. The UN spokesperson comments came in reaction to Donald Trump's nominee for UN ambassadorship's assertion that Israel has biblical right in the occupied Palestinian territory. United States President Donald Trump's Middle Eastern envoy Steve Witkoff has announced he will visit Gaza in the coming days as part of what he called an inspection team to monitor the ceasefire agreement reached between Israel and Hamas last week. The United States military has started to send 1,500 active duty troops to the country's southern border with Mexico as part of President Donald Trump's long-promised crackdown on immigration. Prince Mohammed bin Salman says the kingdom would expand its investment and trade with the United States to $600 billion over the 4 years and potentially beyond that. U.S. President Donald Trump said he has selected Sean Curran to serve as director of the current U.S. Secret Service. At least 11 people died in a rail accident in India's western Maharashtra state when they disembarked from the train fearing a fire, only to be hit by another train passing on the adjacent track. A 2-year-old child and an adult were killed and 3 others injured when a play school group was targeted in a knife attack in a town in the German state of Bavaria. The ICC unveils a new promo for the Champions Trophy featuring Pakistan and Shaheen Afridi along with India's Hardik Pandya. Hello, you're watching PTV World. I'm Zahra Sikandar, but for now, it's all from PTV World with the headlines. See you in a bit.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host Umar Khalid. But today is the 22nd of January 2025. These are the stories that we'll try to understand during the course of the show. We'll begin with the continuation of the first phase of the ceasefire that is going on, despite the different happenings that we also see in which people are being killed in Jenin and in other places as well. The fact is that whether it be Lebanon or whether it be Gaza, it seems as if the Israeli forces are not properly respecting the ceasefire deal per se. Nevertheless, it is a sigh of relief for the people in Palestine. 470 plus days, they can finally go back to let's put it that way, the lands where they used to have houses, because 80% plus infrastructure has been destroyed in Gaza as we speak. Who will take part in the reconstruction? Will the ceasefire hold? Is what we will discuss in our story, ladies and gentlemen. Concerns reshaping young lives and how education and different scholarship programs do that. Now, there is a US Access program that is also helping in that direction. We will be understanding how that access program helps the young minds and shapes the young minds in order to make them better leaders for the upcoming generations. We'll be having 2 important guests in that segment. Finally, we'll be talking about 2 important stories: the murder of Graham Staines by Indian 26 years back on this very day, when the Australian missionary and leprosy physician and his 2 sons lost their lives in a village in Odisha on the 22nd of January in 1999. Finally, we'll be talking about downpours in Pakistan that have been 40% lower than normal between the September of last year and January of this year, and there's a huge risk of drought in Pakistan as well. That is something that we have already discussed in shows last year and the year before last. This was a report that had been taken by some of the NGOs that had already predicted that way back in 2023. This is the lineup for today. Let's begin with our first segment, and that concerns the Gaza ceasefire, day 4 and the day 473 of the conflict between Israel and Palestine. We've been joined by two guests, one online and one in the studios. We'll begin with the guest in the studios and then we'll go to the guest online. In the studios, we've been joined by Dr. Guli Aisha Bhatti, who's a foreign affairs analyst, and online we'll be joined by Dr. Hassan Abu Said, who is the CEO of International Human Rights Council in Geneva. Let's begin with you, Dr. Saiba. Now, a lot of things are happening, and especially what I'm very concerned about is what's happening in the West Bank, in Jenin. We normally have a reporter from there, a journalist from there, Osama Mohammed Nazal, and now he is in the midst of all of this as well. Israeli forces have blocked ambulances from accessing Jenin in the West Bank. A two-day raid has killed at least 10 people and left dozens of wounded. Then Israeli gunboats have been shelled towards the coast of Gaza in terms of the ceasefire. This also has been confirmed. A UN special rapporteur warns if Israel is not forced to stop, the genocide of the Palestinians will not be confined to Gaza. Mark my words, he says, and this is what we have been seeing, in fact, unfortunately. Israel's war on Gaza has killed 47,107 people so far officially, and there are tens of thousands of people who are still buried under the rubble, and 111,147 people have been injured. What do you foresee? Is the ceasefire going to stay on? Will this violence that is still continuing beyond the ceasefire end?
Thank you. The ceasefire was actually the most anticipated moment. It was long awaited, and everybody was looking for this because the genocide has been, it's a kind of on its extreme. And but side by side, when we look into the actual happening inside the Gaza and the brutality Israeli forces had been doing over there, so ceasefire became meaningless. Although this ceasefire, when we look into the document of it, so we can see that, okay, this ceasefire, the same draft was basically formulated 1 year back. In March 2024, and at that time it was rejected by Netanyahu, and then again it came up in May, and then again rejected, and finally they accepted it, but still the actual standing is somewhere else. So it shows that how confused the Israeli government itself is. Because at one time they are doing all kind of brutality. On the other hand, they are trying to bring the ceasefire because the pressure is coming from somewhere else. We have seen that Trump get into his office, and there is an unambiguous call from the office to Netanyahu, and Netanyahu has been forced, and he talked about the ceasefire. But on the other hand, when we talk about the human rights violation, the international violation of international laws, and and violation and the infrastructure that has been demolished, the recovery is going to take a long time. The house demolished, the schools has been demolished, the basic building has been demolished. So it's going to take a long time, but it is going to get to its place back. But what if they are not going to go with the ceasefire, and they are going to violate again, just and like again they have been doing it, and
in Lebanon,
yes, Lebanon as well. So if the ceasefire is not there, that means that it's going to be a continued brutality and no reconstruction.
All right. We've also been joined by Dr. Hassan Abu Said, who's the CAO of the International Human Rights Council in Geneva. Thank you very much, Dr. Hassan Abu Said, to have joined us. Dr. Hassan, my question concerns the Prime Ministers of both Egypt and Qatar, who have had a meeting on the sidelines of the World Economic Meeting in Davos. And this is very recent, in fact, news from today, where they have implementation of the ceasefire agreement in Gaza and the exchange of prisoners. We all know both these countries have been instrumental as far as the ceasefire agreement is concerned. But my question to you is the same that I asked Dr. Guli Aisha as well. Will the ceasefire persist? Will it continue? Will these small violations that we are seeing time and again in Gaza, that we've seen and what we are seeing in Jenin as well, is this going to interrupt the ceasefire, or will the first phase be completed?
No, can you repeat the question? Because I didn't get all the question.
Oh, okay. I will just narrate the question. Will this ceasefire sustain itself at least in the first phase, that is of 42 days? I was just referring to the meeting that the Prime Ministers of Qatar and Egypt have had in Davos.
Okay. Yes, good afternoon to everybody. And first of all, we look seriously to maintain this ceasefire and to go above the date that for this truce, if you want, because we think that the people of Palestine have suffered a lot, and they need to go into a peace process today and to stop all this humanitarian crisis. And thank God, we think that the humanitarian aid has started very well, and we are witnessing support from most of the countries that did at the beginning of the war said that they are going to help, and really we are witnessing a lot of humanitarian help to the people of Gaza, if you will. Now, this meeting between both prime ministers, I believe it is the step ahead to make sure that the continuity of the ceasefire will continue after the 42 days, as you mentioned, and we will have a normal life after that, with, of course, a processes on the political aspect, meaning that we should start also thinking of having the parliamentary elections, the presidential elections in Palestine, as well to have a legal Ministry of Councils for the Palestinians to represent fairly the Palestinian people.
But the fact is, Dr. Haitham, that looking at the current state of Palestine, with 80% plus infrastructure that has been completely destroyed, and the humanitarian state of affairs of the people, don't you feel this step that you just talk about of the elections in Palestine and the council that needs to be made will, I mean, maybe happen in a couple of weeks' time?
Well, I don't believe it can happen in a couple of weeks' time. But we are also making sure to secure the West Bank and not to have another involvement of the Israeli armies within the West Bank, because we are very skeptical on what's going on today in the West Bank. And if the rumors were true, we hope that we have to work with the international communities, with the effective governments that work to have this ceasefire in Gaza, to make sure that the war is not going to be extended to the West Bank. Now, having the elections within 2 weeks, I believe it's a short time. We have to start preparing the ground of it, and it's a little bit of time. But I believe that behind the corridor, have some talks of having these elections that I mentioned going into implementation very soon. Now, you cannot ask me when it's going to be. It depends on the situation on the ground. It depends on the regional atmosphere. It depends on how Israelis and Palestinians are going to interact within these days of peace, of truce, if you want, between them. Then after that, I think we will head directly to a fair elections under the United Nations supervision.
All right. Please stay online with us. Dr. Gul Aisha, let's also talk about the fate of UNRWA. Around 2 million people rely on UNRWA for supplying their supplying aid to them in different forms, in forms of food, water and shelter and medicine and whatnot. What happens at the end of the month when the ban on UNRWA takes effect? Will some other organizations take the mantle of UNRWA, or will UNRWA be allowed to sustain itself beyond the ban?
After the ceasefire, Umar, I think that the Palestinians, they deserve the ease in their suffering, and they have been in this trauma since ages. I'm listening to all these things since my childhood, so they deserve that the suffering should be ended. But yes, along with that, how the United Nations peacekeeping agencies and how the international human rights agencies are being targeted in Gaza and Lebanon and Syria is really concerning. And you know, our representative in UNSC, he raised actually this concern yesterday, and that's Pakistan being a peace-loving country. We always appreciate such a kind of ceasefires and truce where the prosperity and peace brings, and we always condemn about the atrocities and terrorism, every kind of wherever it is. But once again, everything is possible once the ceasefire is durable. If this is not durable, then the suffering is still there. once I will look into the that first stage, so there are 3 things they are demanding. They came on this agreement. The one of them is that there is going to be the exchange of the hostages. Yes, and they agreed on that, and they did that today as well. The exchange of the hostages and captives. And the second thing is that Israel is going to retreat all its forces from the populous region, and that is a kind of tricky. Now they are not ready to do that. We all know that. And according to the Oslo agreement in 1996, they should respect those agreements in which they should be away from the Gaza Strip, but they are not going to respect this. So here they are going to make this ceasefire become less successful and inactive. And the third thing is that they are going to make this ceasefire in such a way that it should be durable and long. And then there come the second stage and the third stage. Now these stages, once they are crossing the first stage and going into the second stage, they are going. The second stage is more complicated. After 24 years, there are more strong demands both of the parties going to ask. So if Netanyahu is ready to accept the second stage after fulfilling the first stage, that's tricky, because he is going to face so many things in his office back home, where he is having that cabinet alliance, right, there are religious nationalist, a kind of those settlers, and they have a kind of that movement going on. And sometimes I feel that Netanyahu is being hostage by especially that foreign minister and that that national security minister. Both of them, yes, Mostrich, and the other one is, his name is Ben Gvir. And both of them, they are making those statements that makes, Netanyahu
they are part of his camp. They were the ones who also had opposed the ceasefire agreement when Netanyahu was about to sign it. But let's see what happens in the coming days. But there are a lot of speculations from different parties. Prime Minister authority to oversee the Palestinian side of the Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt. Instead, it says that Israel's Shin Bet intelligence agency is going to supervise this crossing. How do you view that under the current state of affairs, when there is a ceasefire in effect? Isn't it already diluting the effect of this ceasefire agreement and the future prospects of it? Can you unmute? Can't hear you, Haitham. Can you please unmute? We still can't hear you, but we'll try to go back to Dr. Haitham. Let's come back to Dr. Guliasha. Dr. Guliasha, police offices and stations in the Gaza Strip have been burned. This is what the people have now seen, and this is what also a lot of organizations are reporting. Hundreds of vehicles, assets have been destroyed. More than 1,400 members of the department have been killed, including the Director General, and as more than 1,950 members have been injured, 211 arrested by Israeli forces during the war. And this is just one part. There are the health workers who have been killed. The numbers extravagant, to say the least. Journalists have been killed. And the list, I mean, I can just go on and on. The education institutions have been completely destroyed, and the students, a lot of children have been killed or been affected by this war. How difficult, in point of view, will be the rebuilding process once the ceasefire completely comes into effect?
It's something, I mean, I cannot say in a concrete way that it's going to happen in your future, because it depends on the ceasefire durability and how promising the ceasefire is going to be. But yes, we can look into the matter and say that, there are almost, hundreds of journalists as well involved, in the people from the international humanitarian organizations and human rights organizations. They have been targeted without any doubt. It's the biggest genocide of the whole century. And once we talk about the reconstruction, it's tricky because it depends on the ceasefire. And as far as the recent incidents are concerned, I can say that the Netanyahu, he wants Gaza unlivable. So once he wants an unlivable Gaza, so he's going to destroy everything. And once he's talking about the ceasefire is challenging. It's it's text. I read its text in the morning, and that the sentences are somewhere ambiguous and vague, and it gives more and space for reinterpretation. So this reinterpretation gives more and more space to Israelis.
All right. So, but let's see again, you know, a ceasefire, at least the atrocities, brutalities, genocide, ethnic cleansing, at least the people in Palestine can heave a sigh of relief. I don't know what's going to happen in the next few days, but at least for the moment, this is what they are doing. But they are also devastated by what they are seeing as far as the loss of life and property is concerned. Haitham, coming to you, I'll ask you the same. I was asking you, the Israeli Prime Minister, did you hear the question? The Israeli Prime Minister's office denies reports claim that the Palestinian Authority is going to supervise the Palestinian site of the Rafah crossing between Gaza, Egypt. They say the Shin Bet intelligence agency, the Israeli agency, is going to supervise that. How do you view this, implementation process? And I'd like to couple it with another thing which concerns the West Bank. And Wall Resistance Commission reports number of Israeli military checkpoints and gates in the occupied West Bank has now risen to 898. Defense Minister Katz also says the ongoing Aral Wall military operation in Jenin is going to mark a shift in the Israeli army's security doctrine in the West Bank. So the West Bank seems to be, or Jenin seems to be, the focus of the Israeli forces and the Israeli defense industry for the moment. This, coupled with the Palestinian authorities not now controlling the Palestinian side of the Rafah crossing, how do you couple these, and do you feel this is going to put a dent as far as the future of the ceasefire process is concerned?
I was just saying that in order to have the date that was mentioned on the Oslo Agreement, it was in 1993 and not 1996. Okay, just to make sure that the date is correct. Now, regarding the overtaking of the Gaza from the authorities of the West Bank, the Palestinian authorities, I don't believe that this is something that could happen now, because first of all, you have to go into the legitimacy of the representation of the Palestinian people. Since President Abu Mazen was not the elected person. I mean, we have a gap in this presidency. Legally, he's not the president of the Palestinian Authority. So I think that this is what is going to happen in the coming days. And this is what I think Prime Minister Netanyahu is going to take into as an alibi, that we cannot accept the authority because they have a problem with the authority in the West Bank. And I think that even the program of Prime Minister Netanyahu and Israel as a whole for the West Bank is different than what the authorities are thinking about. I think that he's preparing a certain military launch on the West Bank just to cut the road on all possibility that the authority would take over. The Gaza Strip, who's going to dominate the Gaza Strip? I mean, it's not yet clear until now. Let me be frank. Because the Israelis are not accepting Hamas as the they are not accepting the authority of the Palestinians in West Bank to take over the Gaza Strip. So I believe that this coming days will show a lot of interactions, severe interactions between all parties, not only between Palestinians and the Israelis, because you know that most of the regional states that took part to this ceasefire also have a word to say on that. And I don't think that it's going to be acceptable to have the same scenario that was before the 7th of October 2023. This is why we are calling for a new election to be done very fast and very quick, so that we cut the road on all these rumors and all these allegations that is coming from here and there. Because we cannot take this issue as at ease. Taking this issue at ease could create new confrontation between the Israelis and the Palestinians through the Jenin and the West Bank and all these states that are witnessing today some coalition from if you want, military coalition between the Israelis and the local Palestinians fractions, if you want.
Thank you very much, Dr. Haitham Bousaid from the International Human Rights Council in Geneva, to have joined us, to have discussed that. And also thank you very much, Dr. Gulaya Shai Bhatti, to have joined us in the studios to discuss the latest as far as the ceasefire is concerned. This is day 4 of the truce. Let's hope we can also talk on day 41 of this truce and even beyond that. We keep our fingers crossed and we remain optimistic and we see the glass half full. Thank you very much. We'll be back after a short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, education is something that is extremely important. I have seen today how the Danish school was also inaugurated by our Prime Minister. Education is something that is universal in its language because it builds up on individuals, on the youth of any country, which would be Pakistan, which could be any other country in the world. And it is due to the efforts of different national and international organizations that the youth of across the world are building themselves up and gearing themselves to be the future leaders in different parts of the world. Now, the US Access program is one such program. It is reshaping young lives. The Vision Building Future program was established in 2016, which is a startup of Access alumni and is a dynamic non-profit organization dedicated to reshaping the educational landscape. And that's interesting because education is, the basic premise on which your life could be rebuilt. We've got two very interesting guests to discuss different aspects of education and how that can reshape young lives through these different programs. On my very right is Sayyida Uruj Haider. She's an alumni of the US Embassy Pakistan's English Access Micro Scholarship Program. Uruj, thank you very much to our show. And I was so impressed when I was reading through all that you've done. And I hope that more and I can meet and interact with more and more people like you, because there's so much to learn from the young people like yourself. Our second guest is US Embassy Pakistan's Regional English Language Officer, Gerald. Thank you very much to have joined us as well. Awesome. Welcome to our show. Let's begin with you, Uruj. Vision Building Future. This is something that has been making waves, and I've heard and I've read about it many a times, but now that we have you here, let's talk about it. As a youth-led organization, can you share the story, how it got established and how it has evolved itself as this major organization over the years?
Yes, thank you so much. First of all, thank you for having me here today and giving the opportunity to speak about my work. So Vision Building Future was established in 2016, but I think the conceptualization of its idea goes way back to 2009. And that was the time when I was, I would say, just a 10th grader and also enrolled in the Access program. So I must say that Access was the place which provided me an environment and where I could just put those traditional academic pressures behind, and we could focus more on other things such as critical thinking, creativity, innovation.
It is so important, you know, in this century, you cannot evolve as a better person, as a better professional if you do not have critical thinking.
Yes, and that's how we got a lot of civic sense and community service and civic responsibility, I would say. And me and some of my Access fellows, we started doing a lot of community work, volunteerism, and then one day we thought that we should have a platform of our own where we could take and lead.
The Netherlands and Pakistan held the 11th round of bilateral political consultations in Islamabad on January 20th. Now, the Netherlands side was led by the Secretary General of the Dutch Foreign Ministry, and Foreign Secretary Ms. Amna Baloch led the Pakistan side. Both sides held discussions on a wide range of areas, including economic, political, trade and investment, climate change, agriculture, water management, dairy and livestock, education and culture. This week marked several important developments as a part of our Look Africa policy. Our Additional Foreign Secretary for Africa, Mr. Hamid Asghar Khan, is currently visiting Africa, and he has already conducted bilateral consultations with Djibouti, Rwanda and Uganda. And before these bilateral consultations, as is customary, we signed bilateral memorandum of understanding for convening of these bilateral consultations on an annual basis. During the bilateral consultations with Rwanda, discussions focused on culture, defense and security, education, culture, science and information technology. And highlight was also MOU on preferential trade agreement. The fourth round of Pakistan-Azerbaijan bilateral political consultations will be held in Islamabad today. Mr. Elnur Mamadov, Deputy Foreign Minister of Republic of Azerbaijan, is visiting Pakistan to lead the Azeri delegation. The Pakistan delegation would be led by our Foreign Secretary. The two sides will discuss the entire range of bilateral relations, including cooperation in trade, energy, information technology, health, connectivity, and education sectors. The two sides also discussed a range of regional and international issues. Pakistan welcomes the initiation of ceasefire in Gaza on January 19, 2025, the subsequent release of hostages and Palestinian prisoners. The milestone was achieved after the patient and persistent mediatory role of Egypt, Qatar, and the United States. We urge the international community to develop a concrete plan for reconstruction of Gaza in line with UNSC resolutions. We call for accountability of Israeli crimes committed in this brutal war, describing it as an essential element in restoring international legitimacy. Pakistan continues to support the two-state solution, which is based on fundamental principles of the UN Charter, resolutions of the Security Council, and decisions of the International Court of Justice. And we also unequivocally condemn the latest Israeli raid in the Jenin refugee camp of the West Bank, resulting in killing of 10 Palestinians. Such actions potentially undermine the precarious ceasefire in Gaza, and international community should take note of it. I thank you, and the floor is open for questions. Ji.
Thank you. This is Adil Bashir from Rose News. Can you please elaborate?
That was the spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on your screen, Mr. Shafqat Ali Khan, during his weekly media briefing. He addressed the media about the ongoing situation in the Middle East, and he also talked about how this situation should come to an end, as the ceasefire is the dire need of the hour, and the humanitarian assistance that is required by the people should be provided the first priority basis. These are updates we have for you for now. Stay tuned to PTV World for more. We'll be back within a few minutes with the Ali Bulletin. Stay tuned.
For transgender community and the local community, they both come together, they break the fast, but the primary focus is to break the stereotypes by bringing both communities together, sit, talk, and at times we arrange this iftar in such a way where they prepare the iftar as well, all together. So these are few of our initiatives, and if I talk about the impact, so with Relo Pakistan, among the educators, we have empowered around 5,000 educators, and if we look into the ripple effect or the indirect effect of this empowering the educators, around 150,000 students are also empowered, because the estimated number of each class is 30 students each class. So this is some
just
of our
work. A little crux, a little example, a little teaser of all the work that is being done. Gerald, why do you believe the English language acquisition is particularly critical for young learners, especially in regions such as the subcontinent or in Pakistan?
Not only young learners, I think everybody. I mean, before I came out here today, I was talking with some of your people back there, and they said, could we have an English class as well? English is a tool for us to connect to the world. It's the language of the internet, it's the language of science, technology, it's a way that we share our research. So it's a very important tool, and people have a lot to say, and if you want to be heard, I think English is the language that you can most effectively be heard in. So I think there's a good opportunity for express themselves, to engage in the global community, and also to advance economically.
All right. When it comes to Pakistan, how do you feel that this access program, that of course Uruj is a huge part of as well, and continues to be a part of, align with the broader education or community development goals for example, our country?
As Uruj mentioned, the program was unique, I think, for her, and it still remains unique for many learners, because it's not a traditional program. Students are freer. The teachers are freer. They're not following a set curriculum. They're able to teach the language communicatively. They're learning other things in there as well, community service, developing their soft skills. So those are very important aspects of the program. And speaking of teachers and how it affects the community, we spend a lot of effort and energy in training the teachers. We pick the best teachers. We are very lucky to have the best teachers. And we do a lot of training with them. We send them on exchange programs to the United States. And they share what they learn through our programs in their own communities and in the schools that they're at.
That is wonderful, because I think this interaction that you can have also with other communities, other countries and other people of your own age in other parts of the world is also extremely important for your own building as a person, as an individual, as a professional. Uruj, as an Access alumni, how can you, if I were to ask you to summarize your journey with this program, what motivated you to join? How did it shape your path forward? What would the, because if I ask you broadly, we can go on beyond the whole show as well, but in a few minutes, what would the gist be?
Yeah, so this is very interesting for me to answer always, because as I mentioned that I did this program back 2009 and at that time I was just 15 years old. So for me the most dominating factor of motivation was my own curiosity, because I was just curious to know that what was going on in those unconventional classrooms, because I could see that there were so many fun activities going on, educational and cultural exclusions going on. Then I was always very much intrigued that how are the teachers so friendly, because we didn't used to get this in our traditional school setup back then. So out of my curiosity, I joined this program to know that what's there to explore. And that's how I became part of this Access program. And later on I realized that academics are important, very important, but there are certain other important things which we should be exploring, and that's what I explored in the Access program through different activities and the language skills, the confidence that this program instilled me. And later on in life, I think this program helped me a lot. In terms of later on, I got the scholarship for grad program as well, which is a semester exchange program. And I think throughout that process, I was actually applying all the skills that I gained through Access program. And it helped me a lot in that regard. And if I mention that I started my own passion project at radio, where I hosted and produced a program on social issues. So I did that, and I think a lot of credit goes to Access program, because it really worked on my communication and how...
Because it hones and it develops that skill set that stays on with you throughout your life.
Yes, definitely.
Cheryl, you're smiling, but anyways, now that we have one success story with us in the form of Rouge, would you share some other success stories or notable examples of how this Access program has transformed lives in Pakistan?
That's a good word, transform, and I think that's one of the reasons we support this program so much. I've been a regional English language officer for 50 years. I've been in several countries. I've seen the Access program everywhere, and not everywhere, but about 20 countries. And one key word is transformation. We see that these students come in from underprivileged backgrounds and they change throughout the course of the 2 years. And the teachers as well, I think they want to be in the program because they see the changes happening in the lives of the students in the classroom. And the teachers change too. And it doesn't matter where they're at. They could be in Eastern Europe, Central Asia, the Far East, here in Pakistan. All the teachers and all the students kind of share that same access quality. And a lot of the students never dreamed that they'd go to university. And as a result of the Access program, I would say probably 90% end up going. A lot of them get jobs as a result of the skills that they developed in the Access program. A lot of them go on to become professional lawyers, doctors. We hear all kinds of success stories, and we often post them on our social media. This person's done that. So it changes people, and it gives them a vision of what they could be that they might not have had before.
But what they have now become. It's not a could be, is they are now. I mean, the fact also is that, as Uruj mentioned, there are a lot of exchange programs, as you also said, on which the students go to other countries, to the US particularly. What role, in your point of view, cultural exchange play in this Access program, and how does it the students, apart from the fact that it opens them up to a new community and a new way of thinking, but what else?
It's huge. I mean, part of the Access program is for them to get to know about American cultures and values. But I think along the way they learn a lot about their own culture. Pakistan's a big country, many languages, many different varieties of practice. a lot of people don't even realize that about their own country. And we have access programs spread across the whole country, and they communicate with each other. They're learning about the traditions and the cultures of the regions. So I think the first part of cultural awareness is getting to know your own culture, so you're able to explain.
That's very
it
important,
to
because a
other
lot of people don't understand. They're more interested in understanding other cultures, but leave their own culture, understand the different facets of the culture that is present there. The last question will be to the both of you, but I'll start with you, Gerald. What are the future plans for the Access program in Pakistan? Are there new initiatives in the pipeline for a program that, as you said, has been here for quite a couple of years?
Yeah, 20 years. And I think the program has been very successful, and I don't believe it's going away. I mean, we hear talk about it all the time. For every time we launch a new program, or we call for our students, I mean, one cohort of students could be 100 students. We get 2,500 applicants for these. I mean, it's very, very popular. So we're committed to keeping it going. We want to continue to enhance the quality of the program. We're constantly evaluating it. We're training the teachers. And one thing I'd like to do this year before I leave in July, I'd like to have an Access Summit and bring about 100 Access students from across the country together from all the diverse regions of Pakistan, and get together maybe around a theme of community service or something like that. But at the same time, build a network and have them learn from each other about their own cultures and their own regions and the diversity of Pakistan.
Wonderful. Uruj, last one short of time, whether it be community initiatives that you have honed yourself as far as being concerned, whether it be the achievements that you have had because of being part of such a program and backed to a program as well, what do you foresee as your role also for future students that could be part of this program? What can you contribute to it?
All right. So I would say that influenced by my own journey and my own thought process, that students should always be looking for things that are beyond academics, and they should be exploring their own talents, their own skill set where they could shine the best. So I would say through this platform and through Access program, this would be my future mandate as well, to motivating students to not just focus on academics. And I would say that academics are extremely important.
Extremely important.
Yes.
The basis for any person's reshaping of life.
Yes, definitely. But at the same time, students should be focusing their skill, focusing more on other skill set as well, where they could, just practice where they shine the best.
Exactly. I think that is extremely important, and I'm so glad that I met the both of you today, because I will go back home and think a lot of the skill sets that maybe I can hone also now in this phase of my life. Thank you very much to both of my guests, the US Embassy's Pakistan Regional English Language Officer Gerald Frank and Sayyida Uruj Haider, who is an alumni of this US Embassy's Access Micro Scholarship Program. Thank you so very much. Just stay online, stay with me in the studios for about 2 minutes. I'll just have 2 short stories to share with my audience. Firstly, ladies and gentlemen, the murder of Graham Staines by Indian extremists. 26 years have passed since the Australian missionary and leprosy physician Graham Staines and his 2 young sons lost their lives in Odisha on the 22nd of January in 1999. Staines dedicated over 3 decades of his life from 1966 to 1999, and he provided free medical care to leprosy patients in India. So the world remembers him on this day. Finally, downpour in Pakistan has been 40% lower in the period of September 2024 to January 2025. And a lot of people are saying that a drought-like situation might be presenting itself in different parts of Pakistan. Let's hope it doesn't happen there, but El Nino and so many other things because of climate change are to be are the factors behind this whole phenomenon that is engulfing Pakistan. On one hand, we've got floods in 2022, and now this is what we might have, a drought-like situation in 2025. Let's see. The next couple of weeks will give us a more clarity in that respect. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to an end of today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with news story segments that pertain to us here in Pakistan. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.
India is misleading the world by its false narrative of peace and development in occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Modi regime is trying to hide the reality about Kashmir through its propaganda machinery. Indian troops are committing worst human rights violations in occupied region. Modi's 5th August 2019 illegal move has put occupied Jammu and Kashmir into a reverse gear in all spheres of life. Lasting peace in region is not possible till resolution of Kashmir issue as per Kashmiris' aspirations.
We are proud Pakistanis.
We are the healers and bring hope to those in need.
We are the builders.
We are the engineers who create the infrastructure country.
We are the artists who bring joy and beauty to your faces.
We are the dreamers and the doers.
We are the champions, the athletes who bring glory and pride to our nation.
And we are the storytellers.
The journalists that bring you stories and news that matter.
Meet the team that brings you the latest news from all over the world.